All right, welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And this is episode 48. Got that note for myself. All right. And I'm a little early today because I put a little teaser out, which I don't like doing, but I was happy. Some people they just get so bummed out. So when there's good news, you want to just say, hey, there's good news. I can't do a full um, update right now, but just know there's good news, right? So that's what I wanted to do. So I didn't want to keep dragging it out. And so today is Wednesday, March 26th. Yeah. And my FX buddies, you can find me wherever there's podcasting, video content. I'm under my FX Buddies, Amazon Podcast, Apple Podcast, uh, Spotify.com has audio and video, and Rumble, RSS.com. I have to say that RSS.com has a transcript for people who have a hard time understanding me or following me. You can go print out, look at the transcript. All right. So, yeah, we'll get into this. So, forget the budget schedules. I know people are excited about that, but this is my favorite article today. Um, I didn't put his name because people don't know who he is. 2025 indicators: a strong economy, a recovering dinar, and developing banks. So this is the full title. So if you were to click this link, you would go to this article that would come up in Arabic, and then you would, you know, my computer automatically knows if it sees Arabic to translate it to English. But so it would say Al-Nusairi because that's who this guy is. And he's well respected, been around a long time. I think I think he went right into finance, banking, after college. Anyway, that's not important. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, I am forgetting something. Okay, so the blog is the best place to go because I'll have the full articles and the video. And then it's also easier to follow along when you can see the articles. Plus, I suggest there's going to be articles that I'm not going to be able to cover for time's sake. And you may want to read those articles. They may interest you. Or I only focus on the part of an article that I like. There may be other parts to an article that you like. The blog is free. You don't have to put your email in, nothing. You just go there, which is myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. And that's a lot to type in. So wherever you are experiencing this information, look for a intro, description, more type button. Click on that, and there'll be a link directly to the blog. Okay? That's what I was forgetting to say. All right, so now here we go. So I'm going to spend most time on this. Now, he is a economic and banking advisor. He writes books, and when he writes books, the CBI governor at the time, whoever it is, they throw him parties and they promote his books. So that's why I'm saying he's well respected. I don't know why though. I other than that, it's not like he invented anything. He didn't, at least as far as I know. I don't think he formed the monetary policy that they're trying to input now. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so he gets to write a lot of articles, and usually he focuses on the past. And usually the vocabulary in the articles are a higher level. I hate to say that, but here in America, they know the average reading grade level is like, it used to be 8th grade, right? It's probably even less now. So he tends to write college level vocabulary. This one, however, is pretty easy because, I've shared with you guys before, I have reading comprehension issues. I often have to read things 2 or 3 times. But this one, I think I just read through and got right through it. Anyway, so here we go. Samir Al-Nusairi confirmed that his predictions made in previous articles and statements that our economic indicators in 2025 herald a strong and robust economy based on the availability of foreign currency reserves and gold. And they have said they have 18 months worth of coverage, and most countries have 3 to 6 months. So they're well above, they're well above average. So he was interviewed and he said the local currency issued amounted to approximately 100 trillion dinars, and our dinar is recovering and gradually returning towards an exchange rate against the US dollar towards the equilibrium price targeted by the central bank. Now, of course, he has to say that, right? Because that's what's out. That's the story. That's what he has to say, right? Okay. Our banks are developing and proceeding at a steady pace in accordance with the central bank strategy for reform, development, digital transformation, and compliance with international standards. The number of Iraqi banks that have banking relations and accounts in solid international correspondent banks and deal with them directly in foreign transfers has reached approximately 20 banks as of the end of 2024. So he goes on to talk a little bit more about that. But here, let's see. Because I see this part right here. I thought I had this bolded, where he explained the central bank is making great efforts to qualify, develop, and assist other banks to join those 20 banks. They are monitored closely for the reality of monetary policy applications and the central bank's procedures and its close monitoring of international economic variables and their impact on the Iraqi economy and compliance with international standards that allow Iraq to be regular in the global banking system and control the movement and safety of foreign currency trading. So we want them to be regular in the global banking system, right? Not just hit and miss or some parts, some transactions. No, we want them all the time, every transaction global, right? And we'll get there eventually. All right. So what is this? Here he's talking about the new way they're controlling the dollar, right? Remember that is a new method that the U.S. Treasury praised and considered a globally advanced method for distributing the U.S. dollar, and this is what I confirmed in my previous articles, that the dinar will recover and the crisis is temporary despite all the external and internal reasons. So yeah, so that's a good article. That's my favorite article. I would love for Ali Locke to be saying that, but he's pretty high up in the government, like I said, as far as being respected. So, and he does study. Well, I don't know if he does the studying. He probably has younger intern people, or he maybe pays people to research stuff and give him a report, right? And then does his books and his reports. All right, so then, so the other big news of the day is magically the budget schedules have been completed and they've been sent to the Council of Ministers. Wow. After all that back and forth, it'll be 2 months, right? It'll be the end of this month. Well, okay, it's with the Council of Ministers. So They still have to approve, adjust, whatever they're going to do. But whoever had it and was making adjustments or whatever, apparently that's over. But so this was the first article that came out. The Minister of Planning appears in Parliament to discuss the ministry's work and prepare budget schedules. So maybe they needed some last minute numbers from him or whatever. But yeah, so he went to the Parliament group, and this was on TV. They did show a little bit of it. This guy right here is a 2020, and I don't know who the other guy is there. But yeah, so that happened. So then this article came out. The Minister of Planning announces the completion of the preparation of the budget tables and their submission to the Council of Ministers. And that's the group. It's headed by Sudani. They meet every Tuesday. That's their regular time. Sometimes they'll adjust, for holiday or if Sudani's traveling. Yeah. But so I'm thinking next Tuesday, because they're heading into the Eid holiday. They've even suspended working hours, regular working hours. So they're on even less working hours. And then that is like 3 days. So the 31st, 1st, 2nd of April, right? They'll be back. But I have a feeling they'll work on that Tuesday. So we'll see what happens, when they come back. All right. And so then more details came out later. And let's see. They hosted him to discuss maximizing non-oil revenues. And that's been in the news a lot over there. In this part right here, this Atwana 20 emphasized the Finance Committee noted a clear flaw in the estimation of non-oil revenues by amending the law of the General Authority for monitoring the allocation of federal revenues. We seek to assess the extent of revenue from investment of state assets and other revenue streams so that we can have a clear picture when formulating the country's financial policy. So the committee is determined to activate, and that is nice to see because they work in a three phase. They, approve, implement, and activate. So activate is usually the last step of a process. So it's always nice to see them talk about that. So yeah. And then even after that, there's Mohammed Saleh, right? Who is he? The Prime Minister, the financial advisor to the Prime Minister. So he came out and assured them, yes, the budget tables have moved, and then also again how strong they are financially based on the reserves and such, and they will be dispersing salaries on time, and everyone's excited about that. If you know me, I never get excited about that. They're going to disperse them and they're going to be at the regular rate. They're not going to not change the rate and go, oh, here, yeah, we're going to give you a higher rate of pay. Plus, it's not, their salaries are not going to change. If they get 100,000 dinars, at least I don't think, let me say this, I don't think their salaries are going to change. If they get 100,000 dinars, they're going to keep getting 100,000 dinars. How they're going to feel like they have more money is their purchasing power is going to increase. So even though they'll still be given the same salary, it will buy more, right? So yeah, so then there's other details there. And then it goes on to talk about oil. And then one last article. Sudani's advisor speaks to a news channel or website, whatever, about the reason for the delay in sending the budget tables. And he talks about going, that it has to be done by law. And They were working out the laws. And yeah, so now let me see. Has that amendment been published in the Gazette? I can't remember. I don't think it has, right? That's the one we're waiting for. And I'm fairly certain the Gazette site is still down. Yeah, I'm sure it is, because if it was back up, people would have been announcing it all over. So, yeah. All right. Um, and they're still talking about the oil also. SOMO. I still don't see anything about Epicur, right? Um, so the Turkish Kurdistan pipeline. I don't think it's flowing, at least publicly. There's nothing saying that it is. Maybe it is privately, but they just haven't made the grand announcement yet. I don't think so though, because Turkey is kind of in turmoil right now because the current leader had his opposition arrested, and there were people in the streets. I mean, they were water drilling. No, what is it? They spray them with water, but high powered water tanks. So it's not the fire hydrant, it's not connected to the fire hydrant. There's these tanks that are filled with water, and they hit them with the water, and they're out there at nighttime. I don't know though, maybe it's hot, maybe it's warm. But anyway, it's painful, right, to get hit with high pressured water. So that's one of their non lethal tactics. So I don't know if the oil's flowing when there's that turmoil over there. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why I felt I needed to say that. All right. So then he's talking about the first quarter will end with a high level of financial stability and discipline as budget commitments and public spending are met. So we'll see, right? Yeah, all right. So, uh-oh, something's missing. Because these are all from today. Okay, no, there it is. There it is down there. All right. I don't know why all that space is there. I'll correct that. I was gonna try to put this video of see what that says right there? You can find a video of them actually driving through. And if you're just listening to this, I apologize, but I feel I have to tread lightly on this topic. So if you go to the blog, you'll see it is things that combust, and they are shot into things that the people who shoot them want to destroy. All right. And they're in Iran, and they're underground. And there's lots and lots and lots of them. And they drive through and they show you. So maybe instead of showing the video, what I'll do is put the link to the video. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. And since I'm thinking about it, let me just say, YouTube, anything that I show, cover, display is covered under the Fair Use Act because it's for critiquing, commenting, teaching, sharing. All right, fair use disclaimer. All right, so you can read about that. And they've been showing this maybe for about 2.5 weeks. As soon as we started, well, our new government started with the maximum pressure campaign. Yeah, they started showing all the firepower. I wonder if I can say that they have. All right. Okay, here's about the salaries. I just have that there because, like I said, some people get excited about it. I don't. And then they're even saying they're going to pay some for April on time. So we'll see. Now, this is really interesting. Um, I don't know if that's the same facility, but it looks like it to me. This looks like it's the underground facility that I just described earlier. And so, according to this article, normally our flag is down there on the ground. So you see how they're walking over the ice cream land flag? And it's saying that normally our flag is there too, and they walk on our flag. But for whatever reason, it's not there now. All right. What is this? Sudani discusses debts owed to investment companies supplying electricity to Iraq. So I'm thinking, why would they have outstanding the debts owed to investment companies that supply Iraq with electricity? So that's outstanding money, right? And the third little paragraph here says they're going to begin paying the dues with a payment mechanism relying on granting these companies oil. So they're not going to pay them with money. They're going to give them gas oil, which I presume is liquid natural gas. I don't know. I thought this article was very interesting. Usually these little tiny articles that are 3 and 4 sentences, they seem like nothing, but then later you find out, yeah, they were something. So, and you would think with summer coming, or not even summer, it starts to get extremely warm before summer gets there, right? That if there's someone who's sending you electricity, you would definitely want to make sure they were paid current, right? So, yeah. All right. And here, I thought they had already done this, but this, again, this is this morning. See, it says on Wednesday, the Ministry of Oil and BP signed a contract. And there's Sudani there, there's the oil minister there, and then I'm guessing those 3 guys there are with BP. So they're excited about that. And here's my one commercial. Buy me a coffee. When this is a live blog, that will be a link, and then the QR code is there. Thank you to those of you who have. And I suggested they make a buy me a pizza. I'm waiting to get a response. But anyway, so this they are really excited about, and you know I'm not, because this is good for their country, but I don't see how it has anything to do with the RV. So, Iraq implements Global Transit System, TIR, and I'm not exactly sure what that stands for, but that's what it is, starting April 1st. So we'll see. We'll see. They've been rolling it out. A couple, I think 6, maybe 8 places have this. It's been in line for a couple of months, but sounds to me like it's going to go the full countrywide wherever there's. It says they announced the system will streamline cross-border transport, strengthening Iraq's position as a key trade hub in the Middle East. So this would be more non-oil revenue for them, right? And yeah, putting them on the same level as everyone else who uses this system. So yeah, they're very excited about that. Okay, Mandalawi, who's the deputy speaker, he said Iraq is witnessing stability and has an attractive environment for investments. And I'm not sure where he was, but This is who he's talking to. We're interested in developing relations with our brothers, neighbors, and friends. So the regional countries? But I mean, your friends could live far away, right? I have friends who live on the other side of my country. So, I don't know. Yeah. And it's that's a pretty long article for them. And then of course look how they close out, right? I'm not gonna mention that, but so I that's why I think maybe it's the people of the region because they want to come together and help um, those countries right there that I'm not gonna say. And here's someone I thought this was interesting. If you heard, which who didn't, um, you have no cards. You have no cards right now, right? Remember that? A couple, maybe 3 Fridays ago now in the Oval Office. Remember that conversation? Now, here, this is Iraq's news. A member of parliament, Amir Hussein, confirmed on Wednesday that America has no other cards than the economic card and financial pressure to confront Iraq with in order to exert pressure and achieve its goals. And I think they mean our goals, America's goals, not theirs. And he says it again, but there's a little bit more. America has no other cards than the economic cards against Iraq if it wants to tighten the noose. Boy, that's a you certainly get an image from that, right? Tighten the noose on the country such that it will move towards restricting the movement of Iraqi funds held in American banks. Remember, their oil money comes to us first, then it goes to them. Carrot and stick, right? So we try to get what we want, and we tell them, you do what we want, right? It's a rough place to be in. And then I think this article also uses the phrase, yeah, here. Washington has many cards at its disposal in the Iraqi arena, including sanctions on banks and the flow of funds. So this is a different, so this is an economic professor, Saleh Rashid, and remember this was a member of parliament. So an economist details potential U.S. punitive measures against Iraq. So I don't think they're going to get it though. They're because the news was so good, seemingly so positive, I should say, about the banks and how they come through those audits. Yeah, but you never know, right? And then down here, consequently, wow, we may witness an attempt to narrow economic paths, which will inflame the Iraqi street and put direct pressure on the Iraqi government. So if you'd like to read that, it is lengthy. They do talk about other things. The dollar cash distribution system, that new system they're using right now. Qualitative shift, right? So, yeah. And they talk about how they're now dealing with international banks, facilitating integration of the Iraqi banks into the international financial network. And that's what we want. And see, I'm not even excited about that anymore. Because we keep hearing them say that, right? We keep hearing that phrase being used, but that's what we're waiting for, and we're waiting and we're waiting, and we'll keep waiting. But it's another good article, right? It's another positive, good article. Now, this one has to do with those forces, and I don't really, I don't really like to read about stuff like that, but I know there's people that do. So that article's there, and I think we're almost done. Yes, look at that. So I came across this um, transformations in the digital landscape in Iraq by 2025. well, we're already here in 2025, but it really goes to everyone. Yeah, it even says right here, social trends and personal behaviors in the majority of countries worldwide that use these technologies. And so if you have someone in your family that they're not really understanding um, social media, digital, right? New phrases, and they may seem at least open to trying to understand. You know, there's some people, oh, baby, I'm 80. I don't need to know about that, right? And then you have some 80-year-olds who are like, yeah, what is this new and exciting thing? Teach me, right? So I was thinking, even though this article is in Iraq's news, if you have a person that fits what I just described, I think you could even share this with them, um, because it covers a lot and it's very easy to read. It even shows how the global trend towards digitization, it even shows how it's all connected globally, right? Which you guys know I don't like, but it's a fact for now. That's where we're headed. And see, they even talk about platforms. So I just thought it was great. And like I said, I just happened to come across it. And it's almost sad. Look here, the decline of YouTube and trends in long-term video viewing. And they knew this was going to happen. Once we started texting, they knew that it would shorten our vocabularies, right? Because they even have a little abbreviation. What's that abbreviation? Didn't read. No, wait. Too long, didn't read. TLDR, right? Too long, didn't read. That, so if you text like me, I use full words, right? So my text messages can be a little lengthy, and the younger people, too long, didn't read. Okay, well, call me then, right? And you know that's not going to happen, right? But anyway, it's interesting, funny. So yeah, and then it closes out. So like I said, I really feel this article could be shared with anyone. It doesn't even they don't even have to be in dinar land. You know, if you're trying to teach someone, especially once you become rich, and if you have teenagers around you, you're really gonna have to teach them, hey, you know, we can't be posting these things. Yeah, you just got a brand new what, G6? No, that's a plane. What's that boxing little car they like? But yeah, sorry, you can't be putting images online. You just can't, right? Oh, anyway, okay. So I'm just dragging on now. So let me end this here. So I hope you liked this posting. I do. I like everything in here. Well, you know, except the things that create damage, but it's part of life, right? It says there'll be that and rumors of that, right? All right. Anyway, so thank you for listening. If there is a join, follow, subscribe type of button, like, share, whatever, um, it would be nice if you would click on that, activate that, because I don't post regularly. So if you do that and all things work as they're supposed to, when I update, you'll be notified. And also accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. So I hope you had a good day. It's hump day. 2 more days and we'll be back at the weekend already. Wow. All right. So enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame it is for you. And until next time, and thanks again.